exactly what he's doing, but the allegations are incredibly disturbing, and the photos and the videos that I have seen of him, specifically those when he was in Italy, would suggest that this is somebody that has a problem when it comes to alcohol and consumption. So take the test. I always say, sunlight is the best disinfectant. If you have nothing to hide, then you have everything to share. And I welcome Kash Patel coming back to our committee and explaining himself, his actions, and how he is behaving as director of the FBI.
So MeidasTouch just exposed how Trump's inner circle, from Kash Patel's drinking allegations to Jared Kushner's $2 billion Saudi payday, represents the most corrupt administration in modern history. We're covering Democratic pushback, congressional oversight failures, and why these scandals matter for democracy. Let's break this down.
We're getting screwed. People are getting screwed. These insurance companies. In fact, the Department of Justice has a criminal case open on United Healthcare for stealing money from Medicare. And we're in a time where all of our healthcare is getting defunded. People are committing crimes, and people are getting denied their health insurance. People are getting denied surgeries, medicines, prescriptions are super expensive. And this administration is responsible for it and rewarding them for it. And we have to bring it to a stop. Like, these companies that are running Medicare Advantage are stealing from people, and we need to be honest about it. And we have to, it's got to come to an end.
Absolutely right about Medicare Advantage fraud. These private insurers overcharge Medicare by $50 billion annually through inflated risk scores and phantom diagnoses. United Health alone faces multiple fraud investigations, yet Trump's administration rewarded them with expanded contracts. The theft is systematic and documented.
We have the bill right here to end this all today, but they don't want to because they like pursuing and continuing to enact an unfair electoral landscape. And so we have an obligation to defend ourselves.
The For the People Act would ban partisan gerrymandering nationwide, but Republicans killed it because they benefit from rigged maps. They gerrymandered themselves into 20 extra House seats in 2022. Democrats finally fighting back with Virginia's fair maps is exactly what constitutional hardball looks like.
Obviously it is. If the reports are true, of course, if the reports are completely fictionalized, as he says, then it's not a national security concern. But I would hope all Americans could agree that if it's right, that it's a national security emergency to have the FBI director dependent on alcohol and passing out drunk.
Now, what do you make of the Republicans' single-minded focus on getting ICE funding through reconciliation? They're not trying to lower prices at all. They're just kind of focusing on keeping their masks on the agents through this reconciliation bill.
Republicans campaigned on lowering costs, but their first reconciliation bill focuses entirely on mass deportation funding. They're prioritizing ICE agents over grocery prices because their real agenda was always culture war cruelty, not economic relief. The mask is completely off now.
Well, so Jared Kushner now does not work for the Trump administration. He did during the first administration, and then a few days after the administration ended, he worked out a deal with Saudi Arabia where he brought back $2 billion to launch a firm representing them. So it's a very lucrative situation, and he's representing them. He also got money from Qatar and some other of the oil monarchies and some other governments. Okay, so that's his new private venture. We could bracket the question of whether there were ethics or constitutional violations with creating it, but that's what he does now.
That timeline is damning. Kushner left the White House on January 20th and secured his Saudi deal by January 25th, 5 days later. This violates the Foreign Agents Registration Act's spirit entirely. He's essentially a Saudi lobbyist operating in Trump's inner circle without proper disclosure.
Nobody has defined it, and we've never seen anything like this in American history before. So, you can't really obey two masters, and my question was just, who's he working for?
Exactly right. The Constitution's Emoluments Clause exists precisely to prevent this. When Paul Manafort took Ukrainian money, we called it corruption. Kushner's Saudi billions create identical conflicts of interest, potentially influencing U.S. Middle East policy to benefit his foreign paymasters rather than America.
Do your job, because we are doing ours. We are holding you accountable, and we are asking for you to tell your story and defend yourself before the American people.
Congressional oversight is constitutionally mandated, not optional. When Trump officials refuse subpoenas, they're defying Article 1 powers that date to 1792. The Supreme Court unanimously affirmed this in Trump v. Mazars. Ignoring Congress means ignoring the constitutional separation of powers entirely.
They just have no respect for Congress. They don't care about Congress. They think that we're a joke, and honestly, we are a joke. Speaker Mike Johnson completely gave the powers of this institution to the president. So why would they feel like they need to come here? And this is what happens when you have a lapdog as Speaker of the House.
Speaker Johnson has refused to enforce a single Democratic subpoena, abandoning Congress's constitutional duty. Previous speakers like Boehner at least pretended to care about institutional prerogatives. Johnson's complete capitulation creates a dangerous precedent where executive accountability simply doesn't exist under Republican leadership.
What I make of that is the fact that they all treat us with contempt.
This contempt reflects broader autocratic tendencies. When officials refuse congressional testimony, they're telling 330 million Americans that government transparency doesn't matter. It's the same playbook Putin uses: administrative opacity designed to shield corruption from democratic scrutiny.
And if they won't answer our questions, they're not answering your questions.
Congressional oversight represents every voter's right to know how their government operates. When Trump officials stonewall committees, they're specifically denying citizens the accountability they voted for. It's taxation without representation in its most literal form. Government without democratic input.
They should not be wearing anything that will help them to surveil the American people, period.
The distinction matters enormously. Body cameras create accountability records, while meta glasses enable real-time facial recognition and behavioral analysis. ICE wearing surveillance tech creates a social credit system by the back door, tracking American citizens without warrants or constitutional protections.
I feel like when you were talking about the meta glasses, that's connected, my understanding, to the metaverse.
Right.
So we're talking, once again, you are having a situation where once again you are connected into some kind of AI metadata situation.
Meta's AI systems can identify individuals, track relationships, and predict behavior patterns in real time. When ICE agents wear these devices, they're essentially creating a massive surveillance network that monitors American citizens without Fourth Amendment protections. It's China's social credit playbook.
Where's it going and how are they going to use it?
Under Trump, surveillance data flows freely between agencies without privacy safeguards. The NSA shares with ICE, ICE shares with local police, creating a total information awareness system. There's no deletion timeline, no usage restrictions, and no judicial oversight of this domestic spying apparatus.
They're not sufficiently regulated, and I have serious questions too about all of the insider trading that is going on and all of the money that is being made on these prediction markets from people within this administration. It's absolutely shocking how much money is being made off of the grift of the Trump administration.
Prediction markets like Polymarket saw suspicious betting patterns before major Trump announcements, suggesting insider information. When government officials know policy decisions in advance, they can profit massively from market positions. It's Martha Stewart level insider trading, but completely unregulated.
The reporting has been escalating that he's not up to the job, that he may have some personal issues that are undermining his performance, but the drumbeat has been steady. It's getting louder.
The FBI director's conduct directly impacts national security operations. If Patel's drinking compromises his judgment during crisis situations, it endangers American lives. The Bureau handles terrorism threats, cyber attacks, and espionage, roles that demand absolute clarity and professional competence.
I mean, he came into the job with absolutely no experience at the FBI. His immediate moves were to fire career prosecutors who were working in a variety of fields.
Career prosecutors built decades of expertise in complex federal cases: organized crime, terrorism, white-collar fraud. Firing them for political loyalty destroys institutional knowledge and case continuity. It's like replacing experienced surgeons with political appointees mid-operation.
Since then, this president's obsession with deportation has resulted in pulling people from cybersecurity, from human trafficking, from drug trafficking, from all these other fields, just to put them on this crazy deportation rush. So there's been gross mismanagement, and now there are questions about what's the cause of it.
Pulling cybersecurity agents for deportation raids is strategically insane. China and Russia are actively infiltrating American infrastructure, while our best digital defenders chase dishwashers. It's exactly the security vulnerability our adversaries hoped Trump would create. Total misallocation of critical resources.
We're actually already looking at that right now, and so it's actually really serious. I mean, the corruption that's happening at these detention centers, besides the inhumanity, I'm assuming that we're looking at an oversight.
Private prison companies Core Civic and Geo Group donated heavily to Trump's campaign, then received billions in detention contracts. It's a direct quid pro quo, campaign cash for government contracts. This financial relationship creates incentives for mass incarceration, regardless of public safety.
They're going back to support big donors of Donald Trump and Republicans, so it's got to be investigated.
Follow the money. Core Civic stock jumped 400% after Trump's election, anticipating deportation profits. These companies literally profit from human suffering, charging taxpayers $150 per detainee per day while providing substandard conditions. It's the prison industrial complex on steroids.
A little of both, as well as outrageous. I thought I was reading a headline out of The Onion. Why would they ever think that?
The Southern Poverty Law Center has tracked hate groups for 50 years, exposing KKK violence and neo-Nazi terrorism. DOJ targeting them instead of actual hate groups shows complete moral inversion, protecting white supremacists while persecuting their watchdogs. It's absolutely Orwellian.
I don't know what Kash Patel does. He says that he's not drinking a lot. I saw one beer at a hockey game. I mean, I've had a couple of beers at a hockey game.
FBI directors undergo extensive background checks precisely because alcohol problems compromise security clearances. If Patel can't handle classified briefings while intoxicated, he becomes a national security liability. The position demands absolute sobriety during crisis management situations.
Bring it on.
Florida's new fair maps eliminate Republican gerrymandering that cost Democrats 3 seats in 2022. With competitive districts, Democrats can actually compete statewide again. Add Trump's declining popularity and GOP infighting, and Florida becomes a genuine battleground for the first time since 2012.
What do you make of the $11 million that the Trump administration is denying in grants to Catholic charities in Miami?
Catholic Charities provides food banks, immigrant services, and disaster relief across Miami-Dade. Cutting their $11 million budget directly harms vulnerable families, including American citizens. It's pure spite, punishing religious organizations for helping immigrants, violating both humanitarian principles and religious freedom.
I already wrote him a letter saying that I think they should be restored.
Even Republican lawmakers recognize that attacking Catholic charities is political suicide in heavily Catholic districts. When your anti-immigrant policies force you to defund religious organizations, you've lost the moral authority completely. It reveals how extreme Trump's deportation agenda has become.